Today, I think it's a first time community moment presenter, and I guess the person who was going to do it couldn't do it. Right? I'm trying to remember because we were at the Northwest Men's Lunch, and the person who was scheduled for today needed to reschedule, and one of the guys in the Northwest Men's Lunch jumped in and said he would do it. So this is kind of a extra props for substituting and taking one for the team. So let's give a warm welcome to first-time community moment presenter Gary Houle.
So I'm just going to talk about my journey here to Oasis. And I'm going to start by saying, I've been a non-believer my entire life. And so that's where I'm going to start, is at the very beginning. And being a non-believer doesn't mean I never had interactions with religion. And in fact, I guess I'd have to say that it started before I was born. And that's because my mother was a Protestant and my father was a Catholic. And in order to get married in the church, they had to agree to raise all their children as Catholics. And so I was recruited into the Catholic Church, born and baptized, and that was the beginning of my first religious contact. But even at that early age, I knew things weren't always going to go well. And sure enough, I got into grade school, and at that time, if you were Catholic, catechism was mandatory. And so I went to my first years of catechism, but I failed. And I failed because I didn't complete the next sacraments, which I guess was First Confession and First Communion or something like that. And that was because my dad was a farmhand, and that's pretty much a 7-day-a-week job, and we didn't have a lot of money, and so we didn't have the time or the money to take me to rehearsals or buy me clothes for ceremonies and stuff like that. So anyway, I didn't pass that first year of catechism. And it showed up in the second year of catechism because we always would line up by grades to go to classes, and they pulled me out of the line with my classmates and friends and put me in the previous behind the year thing because I failed. I couldn't be promoted on the rest of it. And I have to say that they say children are impressionable, and I believe it, because I think that act right there put me on a path like that from the Catholic Church. So anyway, we went on to further years like that until I got to, I think, the last year of my catechism. And there's another little story I want to tell to kind of wrap that up, and it was my first experience with what I will call divine intervention. And because at those last classes, you have to take a test to show that you had listened and studied or whatever. And I got my test, and like most of the kids in the class, I didn't pay attention, and I didn't study, and I maybe knew 3 or 4 of the 10 multiple choice questions on that test. But I ended up getting 100 on that test. And that was my divine intervention. It was because the priest that was teaching the class had a stack of tests before he handed them out, and decided to make the top one his answer key. And I got the second one underneath, which had a clear impression of the pencil. Aced it. Anyway, I thought maybe that's a reconciliation of some kind. But of course, it didn't go that way because I think the class average is like 40 or something, but I got 100. So naturally, I was brought up before the class and played around as, this is what a good Catholic student is. Anyway, so I finished my catechism there. And pretty much through the rest of junior high, high school, and all that, religion was never part of my life. We never went to church, and we never talked about it in class and stuff like that. And it could have been the end of my relationship with religion, but that wasn't meant to be, because at the end of my high school year, I received a congressional appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. And so I graduated in June, and 2 weeks later I was in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And that's where I found out that at that time, anyway, church attendance for cadets was mandatory. You had to go to church. And I'm sure you guys have probably mostly all seen this. There it is. And they had, I think, like 3 religions you could pick from: Catholic, Protestant, Judaism, and off you went. And of course, my instinct was, well, okay, I'm Catholic, because I guess I was if I hadn't been excommunicated, not unknown to me. And so the first time we marched off to church, I thought, well, this is going to be cool. It's kind of a cool church. I guess I can do this without too much trouble. But my first disappointment, I found out that all these wonderful spires and stuff like that, that's for the Protestants. That's not for the Catholics. And so as most people went up these stairs and into the cathedral there, I had to go down here underneath the stairs, and in the basement was where the Catholics went to church. I don't know where the Jewish guys went, if it was outside, or maybe this was like a wailing wall or something like that. I don't know where they ended up. So that was my first disappointment. I said, yeah, I could have said I was a Protestant, man. I could have gone to the big one. But no, I was down in the basement. And so I was going to church. And it was a few months, or 6 months or so like that. And then I was asked if I wanted to teach Bible school. So not only was I going to church, I was now teaching church. And all these people are officers. And so when they ask you to do something, it's like when your parents ask you to take out the trash. You just kind of, it's not really asking you, just kind of do it. So anyway, I was suddenly teaching Bible school. I happened to be a senior, high school seniors that I was teaching. And so I did the same thing that many teachers do today. I started dating one of my students. And so anyway, that went on for a while. And the last anecdote about this, before I wrap it up here, was that one Sunday after Sunday school, we were walking back together to put the class materials away. Anyway, to make a long story short, we engaged in that long-standing Catholic tradition and ended up having sex in the sacristy. So anyway, that turned out to be the sort of the end of things, because shortly after that they removed the requirement that you go to church when you were a kid. So I finished there without going back to church or teaching any more Bible classes. So I really only influenced that one student a lot. So anyway, after that, I kind of went through, personal and professional lives, and not, it really wasn't I didn't go around bragging I was an atheist or a non-believer or anything like that. I just kind of kept it to myself. If it came up in conversation, I didn't deny it. And I found over the years that sometimes that would cause problems. Sometimes you get people who, were unkind just because they could be. They were very religious and they didn't appreciate my not being a believer, and so they engaged in acts which were very unpleasant for that. But I was busy. Everybody is. You raising families, doing jobs, following your career, etc. And so I didn't really think much about it. But now the kids have grown up and gotten married, and things have kind of slowed down a little bit. And I started, looking for maybe other like-minded people. And so I was looking on the internet for, secular humanist groups or whatever. And I came across a few meetup organizations, and so I went to some atheist meetups. But, you'd meet once a month, you'd share a meal, and you'd visit for a while, and then you'd go away, and you'd come back in another month. So it wasn't really what I was looking for. And so I went back on the internet looking for something. And I happened to come across Kansas City Oasis. And so I looked at that for a while, and I did a little more exploring, and sure enough, there was Houston. Oasis. And I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I ended up coming here, like I said, about 6 months ago. And I really, the very first time I came here, I was awed. I was blown away for a lot of reasons. And I'm running over time, so I'll just give you the main one, which is I've had a lifelong love of learning. I love to learn about everything, anything, all the time. And I come in here and I sit down and I see a speaker come up here and start talking. And I come to more meetings and you're talking about science, you're talking about history, you're talking about social issues. And I'm like, this is a place for me. And not only do I like to learn, but I like to share what I know, my experiences. And so I'm, pardon the phrase, I'm in heaven here. And so I hope to meet more of you and learn from more of you and have more chances like this to share some of my knowledge and experiences. And I feel very welcome here. Thank you.